The first thing you need to know is it's not going to break down evenly. You're not going to earn the same $274 per day, that's what you get when you divide 100,000 by 365, and earn six figures that way. It's just not how it's going to happen. It also probably won't happen as a steadily incremental process where you earn $1 today, $2 tomorrow, $3 the next day, $4 the day after that, and so on. That's a lot more likely, but it's still not what is probably going to happen. Most likely, this process of going from 0 to six figures over the next year is something that's going to happen exponentially. You're going to start slow. It'll seem like you aren't making any progress at all at first, but over time, your income will increase faster and faster. It also probably, almost certainly, is going to be something of a roller coaster. You'll earn more one month and less the next. It's going to be a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of experience. That might not be what you want to hear, but as far as I'm concerned, it's the truth. I've broken the process of going from 0 to $100,000 into 4 phases. So in this video, I'm going to share with you each of those 4 phases, what it is, what you need to do during that phase, what you can expect during that phase, and how that will lead you closer to hitting that goal of earning $100,000 a year. Oh, and one more important note before we get into all of this. This video is for entrepreneurs or people who want to become entrepreneurs. I'm not going to be teaching you in this video how to get a raise or get a promotion or get a better job or anything like that. We're going to be focused on how to turn a business from nothing into a business that's consistently earning 6 figures per year. So if that is what you are interested in doing this next 12 months, then keep on watching. If you have no interest in building a business, then you should probably leave now because this video will not be what you are interested in. So with that being said, let's get on into it. Let's talk about the 4 phases you need to go through to build a business that earns 6 figures in a year and goes on to earn way more than that. The first phase is the phase that you're very likely in the midst of right now. It's the make a plan phase. Now, this phase can be as short as 1 day, or it can stretch on indefinitely. Basically, you can spend as much time or as little time in this phase as you want to or choose to. During this phase, what you need to do is you need to decide what business you're going to start. You need to decide what your business is going to sell, who your target customer will be, and how this whole thing is going to come together. Like I said, you can do this in as little as 1 day. I have another video all about how to write a business plan. There can be a lot of unknowns when you're writing a business plan before you've actually started the business, but it's important that you just put something down on paper so that you know generally where you're headed. And here's a little hint about this phase. During this phase of the process of building your business and increasing your income, you're not going to earn anything. You're not actually operating your business yet. You're not selling any product. There's no reason why any dollars would be coming through the door. So, of course, you could do some sort of side hustle at the same time. You could be working a job. You could make something and sell something really fast. Like, there's ways you could make money, but in this actual phase of the process, you can't really expect to be earning any money. That's okay. You just want to make sure that you keep that part of the process short for that reason. Once you've finished your plan, or at least the first draft of your plan, you can move on to phase 2, earning your first $1,000 as quickly as possible. More on that in just a moment. During this phase, you're going to do a quick and dirty setup of your business. The reason for this is that you don't yet have proof that your business idea is really valid, that people really want the product that you are thinking about selling. So rather than waste way too much time and energy building an entire business, building all the systems that are required to run a business, only to find out that maybe people don't want your product, or maybe there was something flawed with your business model or your business plan, I want you to instead get to market as quickly as possible. Sometimes people describe this as shipping as quickly as possible. You need to make a beta version of your product, something that you can make quickly and easily, and you need to try to find your first few customers as quickly as possible. Now, when you do this, you're probably not going to use sustainable, scalable strategies. You're not going to use the strategies that are going to take you to $1 million and beyond. And that's completely all right, because that's not what you're trying to do right now. Right now, you're just trying to prove your business idea. You're just trying to prove that there is demand for the product that you want to sell and that you can create the product that you want to sell. So focus on doing exactly that and earning your first $1,000 as quickly as possible. This phase can take anywhere from about 1 week up to 3 months, but don't spend longer than 3 months on it. And obviously during this phase, you can expect to earn about $1,000 or maybe a fair bit more, but at least $1,000, or else you need to go back to the drawing board with your business idea. Once you hit that point where you've earned at least your first $1,000, then you have the proof you need that your business idea is valid, that there's demand for your products, and you are ready to move on to phase 3. Phase 3 is all about building your systems. So this is where you create those systems that will actually be sustainable and scalable. The systems that will take you to your first $100,000 and beyond. Now, the reason I say just your first $100,000 and not to your first million is because most likely by the time you pass 100,000 and you start working towards that million, you're probably going to completely overhaul and change many of these systems. But these systems you build after earning that first 1,000 can definitely take you to 100,000. I recently did a video about how to turn your side hustle into your full-time thing, and I talked a fair amount about what these systems are and kind of the basics of what they need to involve and how to build them. So if you haven't yet watched that video, just click up there in the corner, or I'll include a link down in the description as well so that you can watch that. It's just an introduction, but that way we can keep charging forward here with these different phases. Now, here is a perhaps unexpected spoiler about the build your systems phase number 3, and that is during this phase, you probably will not earn very much money. You might not earn any money at all. That might be surprising to you. It at least surprises a lot of people who don't think this far ahead, and they don't know what these different phases are, and they don't have a plan for how they're going to build their business, because they think that first they're going to earn their first $1,000, and then maybe the next month they'll earn their first $2,000, and then their first $3,000, and so on and so on. But the reality is that you use different strategies to earn that first 1,000, because most of the time when you are earning the first 1,000, you don't have an audience, you don't have a steady stream of traffic, you're just trying to earn the first 1,000 as quickly as possible. So you have to use some different, more grassroots type strategies. But then you have to pause because you need to take the time to build the systems. And while you're building the systems, you don't have any way that you are really making money generally, because you've stopped doing those grassroots, more manual ways of generating customers and creating your products. And you're getting ready to launch your new systems that will be sustainable, scalable ways of creating your products and attracting customers and closing customers, but you're not there yet. So neither of those systems are up and running. One you've abandoned and one you aren't quite ready to launch yet. Now, it's possible you earn a little bit of money. Maybe you have some products left from the validation stage and a few sales keep trickling in from the marketing efforts you did in that second phase of the process. Maybe you are selling a service, and because you got the word out a bit when you were trying to earn that first $1,000, you are starting to attract some of your first customers, you're getting some referrals, that sort of thing. And that's awesome. But you have to be careful to not let those things distract you from building those sustainable and scalable systems, because if you get distracted by just trying to make a quick buck now and you keep on doing that, it's going to keep your business small and it's going to prevent you from scaling into the long term. So you'll notice that at this point in the process, 3 out of 4 phases in, you haven't earned very much money. You earned no money at all in the first phase. In the second phase, you earned $1,000 or maybe a bit more. And then in the third phase, maybe you earned a little bit, maybe you didn't earn anything at all. So right now you're sitting at somewhere between $1,000 in revenue, maybe a few $1,000s, and that's it. And at this point in the process, Somewhere midway through phase 3, a lot of people are about ready to give up. And a lot of people do, because they feel like they've put so much time and effort and energy into this process and they have so little to show for it. But you are so close to scaling and seeing massive growth, because now has finally come the time for phase 4, and this is where you work your systems. This is where you start actually seeing that exponential growth happen, where you start growing faster and faster every single month. So, what do I mean when I say work your systems? Well, quite simply, you've built these systems that can produce consistent outputs, that can produce real results. And so now you get to start putting the inputs in to get those outputs out. What does that mean? Well, it could look like purchasing supplies to produce your products. It could look like shipping out those products to your customers. It can definitely look like driving traffic to your website or purchasing ads or creating content to attract your customers, then running these leads that you generate through a sales process, perhaps an automated email sales process, or maybe by getting your new leads onto sales calls. If you follow this process, then by the time you get to this point in the process, you will have built some really solid systems in your business that can produce consistent results, where when you put more in, you get more out. When you drive more traffic to your website, you make more sales. When you purchase more product, your employees are equipped to produce your products so that your products are available for your customers to purchase. Of these different systems that I'm talking about, the one that leaves the most people scratching their heads is the sales process. And it's even a little bit bigger than that. It's really the marketing and sales process. People aren't really sure how to produce consistent sales. I think a lot of the time this is because they don't really understand how long this process needs to be, where it really begins, where they need to put the input in. But it also could be just because they're not using the right tactic for each stage of this system. So let me share with you some of your different options and perhaps some of the pros and cons and how to decide which one is right for you. First of all, somehow you need to get the word out. Your future customers have to hear about you and your business if they're ever going to purchase your product. Depending on the type of business you're running and you're trying to build, this will look very different. If you are running a mass scale business where you're selling maybe a lower cost product or maybe some sort of digital product or a product that has mass appeal, then you're going to want to use a strategy that reaches a lot of people. So an example of this would be billboards. Everyone who's driving down the highway sees the billboard. So if you're selling something that has that mass appeal, then paying for that billboard could be a great investment because you are going to reach many potential customers with that one billboard. But on the other hand, if you are selling something that has a much more narrow appeal, something that you're planning to only sell to a few people but for a higher price, then that billboard probably would not be a very good investment because you are paying to reach a ton of people who are never going to become your customers. But you're paying to reach those people. So I hope that analogy makes sense. If so, here are a few different ways you can market or get that exposure that you need if you have a mass appeal product. This would include sources like search engine traffic, Google, traffic to your website, Pinterest, also creating traffic to your website. You could use YouTube in this capacity, you could certainly pay for ads, and you can do collaborations with big brands. Now, on the other hand, if you're selling something that is going to be more small scale, something with a more narrow appeal, then you'll want to use strategies like word of mouth, referrals, and pitching prospective clients. You can also use those strategies that I mentioned earlier that will get you that more mass exposure, but you need to make sure that you're doing so strategically and carefully. As I mentioned before, this is all part of the final phase, which is to work your systems. You need to send that input in so that you can get the output out, and the more you put in, the more you will get out if you build your systems the right way. So let's recap real quick. The first phase is to plan your business. You won't earn anything during this phase. It can take you basically as long as you want it to or as little time as you want it to. Then you'll move on to the phase of earning your first $1,000 as quickly as possible. I want you to spend a maximum of 3 months on this phase with a goal to get it done in just 1 month. Obviously, during this phase, you'll earn $1,000, maybe a little bit more. Phase 3 is all about building your systems. This phase can take a fairly long amount of time, upwards to a year, though of course, spending less time on it initially is preferable. The thing about this phase is that you probably won't be earning much money, but you'll be putting a fair number of hours into your business. Finally, you'll come to phase 4. This is where things get really exciting and fun, where you get to just focus on driving traffic and creating your product, getting the word out about your business so that you're putting that input in, getting the output out. And this is where you will really start to see your business exponentially scale, taking you from basically $1,000 up to $100,000 over these next 12 months. Something I want to point out about this process is that I'd recommend that you set your initial goal for the end of this 12 months to be earning at least $10,000 per month. You might not reach $100,000 in the first year, but if you can get up to at least $10,000 per month by the end of this year, then you will continue to see that exponential growth, and quite possibly in year 2, you'll be able to double or even quadruple your earnings. I'm guessing that right now you're probably at the very beginning stages of starting your business, since this video is about how to go from $0 to $100,000. If that is the case, you might not even know what business you want to build yet. If so, there is a video up in the corner here that you can click on that will give you a bunch of ideas for businesses that you can start that are really possible for anyone to start. And I also have a list of 50 different service-based businesses that I put together that includes information about the average annual earnings for each of those different services. And there's a link where you can download that in the description below. If you already know what business you want to build, then be sure to leave me a comment down below and tell me all about it. I would love to know more about what you're working on. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to give it a like and make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on to find out when next week's video is posted. This video is the last of the group of videos I was currently filming, and so I don't know for sure as I'm filming this right now what next week's video will be. I'm going to be working on that next week, and then you'll see that video about a month from now. So it's going to be a surprise. So again, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on to find out. Thank you again so much for watching. It was great to have you here. I love you. I hope you're having an amazing week, and I'll see you here again next time.